Your voice is power. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, and we'll get started in about 2 minutes.
Want to be let out of here? You're welcome to go. It's a family of passion. If the doors ain't cracking, you gotta let go, let go. If you wanna fly, take the lead. You gotta risk it all, risk it all. About lots of things you'll never see. You wanna be let out of here? You're welcome to go. 'Cause you never know what's in store, Mr. Entrepreneur. In this position with no choice, system imprison young black boys. Distract with white noise. The brainwash become hype boys. You want to be let out of here? You're welcome to go. Dilate. You're supposed to make it off Section 8. Rapping me to just pay more. It's everything. Let go, let go. If you wanna fly, take the lead. You gotta risk it all, risk it all. About lots of things you'll never see. You wanna be let out of here? You're welcome to go. And it's the color of your face. There will be no sunny days. Sunny days. Black went away. Black man, 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 black man. You want to be let out of here? You're welcome to go. Black man, 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 black man. You want to be let out of here? You're welcome to go. Black man, 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 black man. Don't go chase waterfalls, we stick to the trip that you.
Just make sure. We'll make sure that you can access the slide presentation. So I'm just gonna make sure that the link is shareable. And it looks like people were able to access it. Perfect. So you're welcome to follow along as we also present. So I'll make sure the link is right. I'm loving some of these DJ names here. So keep them up. Danielle, should we get started? I guess it's 10:05. It looks like we have around 100 people in our session. We hope you enjoyed listening to some Pharrell music. To hit it off, we'll have the opportunity to remix some more Pharrell music. If you just joined us, you can introduce yourself with your name, your school organization, and part of doing Ear Sketch is you need to have a co-DJ name. So as you are listening to this presentation, start thinking about your co-DJ name. So we're so happy to have you here on this Monday morning, and we are so excited to be presenting at the Constellations PD Summit, CS for Social Good. And we are presenting on Ear Sketch, but specifically on Your Voice is Power, which is one of the curriculum projects that has come out of Ear Sketch. Just a quick little plug at the beginning. We are doing our first ever full Ear Sketch panel at 1:25 today, which is going to give you an overview of all of the curriculum projects that have come out of Ear Sketch, which should be very interesting because we've always been presenting them separately at conferences, and this one time we'll have an opportunity to present them all together. So just a little plug for that, and then we'll get started by introducing our team. My name is Sabrina Grossman, and I am a program director at Seismic, the Center for Education Integrating Science, Math, and Computing. I'm a former high school not CS teacher, but biology teacher. However, I've now worked at Seismic for about 10 years and done a lot of work in CS and been on the ear sketch team, which I absolutely love, for the past 5 years, and actually learned most of my coding through ear sketch, and are so excited to present this project. My two other partners in code, Danyelle, Larkin and Shalise Delacadre, I'd love for you guys to introduce yourselves.
First, hello. My name is Shalise Delacadre. I am a music technologist by trade. I take music and I take technology, and I see what incredible things can come from the combination. My background is in audio engineering, and I transitioned from using the music technology to understanding and creating the music technology. So I'm super excited to have put my hat in the Your Voice is Power arena, and I'm super excited to be able to share this with you all today.
And hello, I am Danyelle Larkin. I am an educational outreach manager in Seismic. My background is in intercultural speech communication, and I have been a part of the ear sketch team for the past 5 years. And I look forward to continuing this session with you so you all can get a glimpse into Your Voice's power and what ear sketch can offer.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Danyelle and Shalise. The three of us will be co-presenting. So while one of us is presenting, the other one will be in the chat. So feel free to reach out to any one of us during this presentation. So to kick us off, Your Voice is Power. What is this curriculum project? We saw it last fall. It's almost been a year. To answer the question, how are music, computer science, and entrepreneurship pathways to promote racial equity? And so we came with this idea to really focus on this question and bring this experience to our students through a partnership between EarSketch, Amazon Future Engineer, and Yellow, which is Pharrell's philanthropic organization. We had a collaboration, and Pharrell had just released, along with Jay-Z, the song Entrepreneur, and really focused on Black entrepreneurship, the challenges of Black entrepreneurs, and huge successes of Black entrepreneurs, and wanted to be able to bring a curriculum experience that focused on how CS and technology can play a part in promoting these entrepreneurship pathways that would also promote social justice and racial equity. And because EarSketch is so entwined with creating music too, and we also like to think of music as a way to promote messages. And throughout history, music has been a way that we can promote social change. People can express their voices. You can have coded messages within music. So we thought that bringing in the idea that students could express their voice through music and then also use CS and entrepreneurship to promote social justice and racial equity was a way that we can bring this message and experience into our classrooms. So that's how we kind of came up with this question and this project. And so our students are making beats, learning code, and at the same time, promoting equity. Your Voice's Power is both a curriculum experience and a competition. So although we do have a competitive aspect of it as part of motivation and inspiration for our students, we want students to really go through the process, to think about why coding is important and why music is important and how they can use this as a mechanism to promote equity. So this experience allowed our students to remix beats that Pharrell has given us through his song Entrepreneur. And they do this using EarSketch, which is a code to compose program. There is absolutely no experience necessary to participate. And the curriculum experience really helped students develop an understanding of messaging in music, social justice themes, and also coding. And we really wanted the end product to be that students see coding and computer science as an opportunity to share their voice. That this is not just creating an application or writing a program, but just like when they write an essay, that coding is a way that they can share their voice. But as we said, it was also a competition because we wanted to reward students for sharing their voice, but we also wanted there to be a little bit of inspiration and motivation. So their final product was a song that was 30 seconds to 3 minutes, included 5 unique musical tracks and a sound clip from Pharrell, and also allowed them to reflect on their code, which is so important in computer science. Is often our students might write a code to accomplish a task, but we wanted to go this next step and say, okay, why did you write this line of code? It shows a track of a song, but why did you put this in here? And allow them to reflect on their code, and hoping that this then expands to other code that they may write to give them a little bit more advanced practice in computational thinking. We had 2 rounds, and our submissions were judged on music, message, and code. We just finished our second round, which we'll talk about today. But we have prizes. We awarded during our first round about 10 $250 Amazon gift cards, $125 Amazon gift cards, and we are about to award some $5,000 scholarships and grants for our top 5 students songs. And then we're also awarding 5 teachers $1,000 because you are the ones that engaged the students in this experience. So teachers that had over 10 submissions are entered into a separate contest to win $1,000. So as I mentioned, we just finished round 2. We just were able to start to look at the results this morning, but we had 862 submissions. In round 1, we had 667 songs that were submitted. 510 of these were for first-time earsketch users, and 250, about a third, were first-time coders. So this was really exciting to us that we were able to take this competition and curriculum experience and motivate and bring new students into coding. We had entries and songs from 21 states, 1 territory. Actually, our finalist was from Guam. We've also expanded this into Canada. So we are hoping as we move forward that we'll have more Canadian entries. And it's split. We had elementary students, 3rd and 4th graders submitting. And we also had about half middle schoolers and half high schoolers. So again, we have scaffolded your sketch and your voice's power for any grade level, for any level coder to start using this in your computer science classroom. Just a little background of earsketch. As I mentioned, we'll have a little deeper dive into earsketch, but we've been, it's been developed now for getting close to 10 years. And basically it's a code to compose program. Students remix samples using Python or JavaScript code editor. They can also do it in block coding. We have over 4,000 sound loops that they're able to use to remix from artists such as Pharrell, Common, Sierra, and we are working to bring in some more Latinx artists called Remezcla, and we'll actually have the whole earsketch platform translated into Spanish coming up this fall. So we're really excited about that. Earsketch, as Shalise said, she worked in the music tech industry, will resemble digital audio workstations, that if your students are interested in audio engineering, they'll also get experience working with the digital audio workstation. If they've done GarageBand or Pro Tools, they might find some of the aspects similar. Students have the opportunity to collaborate with peers and remix together. They can share, they can download it and upload it onto their phone as a ringtone. They can listen to it on their computer. They create songs, they create music through code. It's free, and as long as we know, it will always continue to be free. It is web-based, so there's no software downloads. There's also no identifiable information needed, so your students can use it without special contracting or tech agreements at your district. It runs in Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. Well, we included this video, but we won't necessarily play play it now, but we'll give you the opportunity to watch it at a later time. But it just gives you just some background on ear sketch, some students talking to your students, encouraging them to try out ear sketch. So why coding and music? Why did we take subjects that are not normally taught together in school and put them into this program? We know the first time we presented this, a lot of our CS teachers are like, well, I've never done music, or I'm not comfortable, but we've also brought this into music classrooms and taught music teachers how to teach coding and CS. They're remarkably similar. Music is a very computational subject. It's very math-based. Very similar, that music and computing have very similar computational constructs. When you're counting in music measures, it's counting, you're doing math. When you're coding in ear sketch and you're looking at variables or sound clips and you're using variables. So you have a lot of the similar thought process. As you're writing out different lines of code, you're also thinking about the different tracks in music. As you're kind of planning, just writing a song or writing music, you're writing kind of note by note. It's almost like you're coding a song as you are writing either lyrics or music notes. So we wanted to take ear sketch and bring music and computing together in authentic ways to hopefully give students a new way to apply computer science with maybe something that they're passionate about. We know that most of our students really love music. And it's something that they're interested in. And sometimes when students came into the CS classroom, they didn't understand the authentic applications. And so we wanted to bring some of their passions or interests into the CS classroom. I'm gonna hand it over to Shalise to go into more details about what we did this year with Your Voice is Power, and introduce kind of the overflow of the overview of the flow of the curriculum, not the overflow of the curriculum.
Thank you so much, Sabrina, as always. As Sabrina mentioned, this year we partnered with Yellow Pharrell Williams, a philanthropic organization. And with that partnership came the donation of several stems from his song Entrepreneur that he did with Pharrell. So this year we centered our experience around this song Entrepreneur. We're not going to play it right now. We're going to give you guys a chance to listen to it on your own. If you came in at the beginning, you heard a little bit of it. But this kind of grounds our entire experience and kind of grounds the lens that we look at music, intentional composition, computing, and entrepreneurship. Our program begins with a call to action. This is kind of how we get students excited and started with the program. I guess we're going to share this with you guys now.
When you listen to music, does it call out to you? Does music make you laugh? Does it make you cry?
Or maybe it's the beats and the rhythm. Maybe it's the lyrics. Music makes you let go.
Every song you listen to has a purpose. The artist's voice is calling on you. Their voice is their power. If you want to fly, take the lead.
Pharrell wants to know your passion.
But don't worry, you don't have to compose from scratch. You'll have the stems and the clips from Entrepreneur. We'll give you the beats and the sound, but you have to write the code.
Wait, code?
Yes, code. You'll be using Ear Sketch, a program to learn coding through composing music. Your power to code will be your voice. Get ready to learn about messaging in music, layers of racial injustice, and how to express your voice for equity through code and music.
It's your turn to remix and share your own voice.
Are you ready?
Super fun. Call to action with myself. That was Mike Larson, Pharrell Williams audio engineer, and also Dr. Joycelyn Wilson, professor of hip hop studies in the Literature, Media, and Communications department at Georgia Tech. So Your Voice is Power goes through sort of a thematic progression through each of the modules, starting with a beginner module 0 for anyone who has never heard of Ear Sketch before and really want to get the introduction from ground zero. So the overview for Module 0 is really to introduce students to the program, introduce them to how to navigate through the program and to run a basic script. Each day has a layout, has a similar layout where the beginning of the session begins with an exploration, moving into a building your language toolbox where we build common language around equity and what we mean when we mention specific things. And that goes into an exploration of music and intentional composition that rounds out with putting these things or putting this theme in practice within a coding construct in Earsketch. So again, Module 0 just is to get you started if you've never used Earsketch before. Module 1 is where we really start to get started into the content. As I said, you engage in a warm-up that includes a lyrical analysis, which we'll get into a little bit later. You spend a few minutes decoding the message using a framework, the Outcast Imagination, which we also explore in just a few minutes. You transition into a building your toolbox section where we begin to build common language around equity. Then we go into an elaboration phase where we explore our theme in Earsketch through code. In Module 1, you really begin to understand the coding behind messages, and you start to explore the Outcast Imagination as a framework. As I mentioned, each module comes with a building your toolbox, a building common language section. And for the sake of Your Voice is Power, we've defined equity through the program as the ability for all groups of people to experience the same quality of life. And this includes taking any necessary action to make sure that all groups of people receive fair treatment and the proper resource to enable them to thrive. My favorite example of this, if you're unsure, is everyone in a room, many people speaking different languages, several people in the room speak English, but we give everybody in the room the same resource. We give these people equality by giving them the same resource, but that resource is in English. So equity says we give everybody the same thing. Equality says we give everybody the same thing. Equity says we give everyone that same successful resource in a language that they can access, so that they all have the equal chance to be successful. So that is the idea of equity that we're working with through this program. The framework that we use to pull out the messaging within these lyrics is called the Outcast Imagination, again, developed by Dr. Joycelyn Wilson, Professor of Hip Hop Studies and Digital Humanities. And if you're wondering, Outcast, yes, is an acronym that she pulled from the Atlanta hip hop duo Outcast. And it is an acronym that stands for or represents thematic elements that are common throughout hip hop music. And we use this framework to kind of ask ourselves questions as we go through these lyrics to tease or pull out some of these underlying meanings that are very common within the tradition of Black and African American music. Outcast, very quickly, the O in Outcast stands for the theme of open-minded thinking. So the thought of contemplation or being open-minded. U, uprightness, the idea of doing the right thing even when it's unpopular. T, truth and transparency, stands for your awareness of your surroundings, the awareness of your environment and your societal place. I like the term we like to use for that is stay woke. So being aware of things that are happening. K is for kinship, knowledge of self, knowledge of others, knowledge of society, that connection that you have with people who have things in common with you, who share common experiences. A is for accountability, the idea of having responsibility to yourself and having responsibility to those who depend on you. S, thematically, is for sequence, recognizing that things have a certain order and happen in a certain way. And T, thematically, stands for teaching love, those ideas of loving yourself and sharing love with those around you. So as we proceed through Your Voice is Power and pulling out these themes throughout the lyrics, this is the framework that we use to ask ourselves what is really going on here. Module 2, thematically. Module 1, the theme for Module 1 was messaging. Module 2 is all about layers. In this module, we talk about the lyrical analysis, of course. We begin to talk about the different layers of racism that we may experience in our society. And then we take that theme and use it to transition into layers of music and explore how the compositions that we hear are a layering of different instruments, of different individual instruments that work together to create a larger composition. And then we elaborate on that idea of layers by having students begin to layer their sound clips in EarSketch using the fit media function. So as I mentioned, the theme for Module 2 is layers, and students have the opportunity to discuss structural, institutional, and interpersonal racism as layers of racism that work together to create a larger system of racism. And then we take that theme of layers and transition to talking about layers of music, how music is made up of individual instruments that layer and work together to create a larger system of composition. And then students move on to explore those themes in EarSketch. Each module includes a video kind of demonstration of how to use the theme in EarSketch. It shows a interaction between myself and Pharrell's sound engineer, Mike Larson. So in these videos, I'm actually teaching Mike in real time how to do what he does every day as a career. I'm teaching him how to transfer that knowledge into a space like EarSketch. So every module includes that video to see how that interaction is very relevant within the music industry. Module 3, we've gone over Module 1 in messaging, Module 2 in layering. The theme for Module 3 is setting your own tempo. And this is where we introduce the idea of entrepreneurship, because that's exactly what you have to do as an entrepreneur, is kind of make your own lane and set your own speed for how you're going to accomplish things. We engage students with a lyrical analysis and then explore entrepreneur profiles, which we've collected a diverse collection of entrepreneurs and their stories behind how they went about setting their own tempo and making the leap and kind of taking the push into entrepreneurship and what that meant for them. We go into the idea of tempo in the coding exercises in EarSketch and have students play with different tempos to support the feel or the type of message that they're trying to come across, because tempo has a lot to do with the energy that your song portrays or puts across. And then we extend that practice into the EarSketch area by having students build a 16 measure song with the layers that they worked on in the previous module. Some of the entrepreneurs that we profiled in Your Voice is Power. I'm not going to give you guys any spoilers because we really want you to go and explore this on your own, but Paris McKenzie and Jessica Sanchez are among the entrepreneurs we've chosen. Very exciting to go through their stories and kind of see things from their perspective as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. And as with all of our other videos, we have that interaction between a technologist and an audio engineer to see where the theme of the day kind of plays into the actual field of audio engineering. Module 4. The theme for Module 4 is structure. This is where we talk about the piece that every part plays in the larger whole. Musically, we talk about song structure, how songs are built from different blocks. This is where we begin to talk about building a song as far as verses and choruses and bridges are concerned. We also talk about every part having its place as far as the fight for racial equity. Every job that every person has does not look exactly the same. As is the case with this push for racial equity, every role that everyone plays does not look exactly the same. So we begin to discuss with students in this module what different types of showing up looks like. And we talk about what it means to be an ally and what it means to be an activist and how these things differ and how students can show up in their own way to promote racial equity. We support that with talking about structure in song, and then we support this in code by talking about building our structures as custom functions. So beginning to kind of build those blocks for abstraction in this module. As I mentioned, everyone has a part that they play as we strive for greater racial equity. And everyone's part is not identical, just like everybody's job in a business is not identical. So in this module, we really begin to explore what those different things look like, what appearing looks like, and what it means to show up in this space. We build upon the idea of song structure by talking about song structure and exploring the idea of song structure through Entrepreneur, which actually has quite a complex song structure. It makes it a great example for discussing this. I think the simplest idea of song structure I can think of is Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. You have the Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, how I wonder what you are. That's like the main idea of the song. Then you kind of progress the story up above the world so high like a diamond in the sky. And then you bring it back to the main idea, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, how I wonder what you are. So music has this very structural building block concept. And this concept is beautifully bridged with computer science through the idea of custom functions and building each of those sections in EarSketch as a custom function. And again, as with every module, a video introduction or a video example of how these ideas become very relevant as you begin to talk about the field of audio engineering and music production in the music industry. And module 5 is kind of where we wrap it up. The modules, even including 0, modules 1, 0 through 4 are kind of a sprint and quite a bit of a journey. And module 5 is kind of where we wrap it up and we reflect on the things that we've thought about, the things that we've engaged with so far, and how we look forward to when we finish this program, when we finish this experience, how do we continue to embody the things that we've learned and the things that we've experienced in this experience. So in module 5, we have our call to action and reflection. We spend a lot of time, we give students a lot of time to finish up their song, finish up their coding, really fine tune their messaging aspect, and go through the process of debugging and making sure that your project is the best that it can be before you complete it. We wrap up the experience with a final call to action. I'm not sure if Sabrina, you wanted to play this. Okay.
And analyzed Entrepreneur. You've learned about racial injustice. You've learned the importance of voice in the fight for equity. Now it's time to use that voice through music and through code. So are you ready?
Are you sure? The time is now to create your remix.
Let go of your inhibitions. Don't be afraid to share your voice and write from the heart.
Layer your sound. Try to create new beats. Change up the tempo. Structure your song.
Add sound clips, strings, and functions. Use your comments to explain your purpose. And remember, you are a coder.
You are a programmer.
Make beats, learn code, promote equity.
And I can't wait to hear what you guys come up with.
You might not be aware of the light or how bright you are, but you have to know that you're capable of inspiring other people.
So let's get after it.
Very nice. As I said, module 5 is our reflection series. We think about what we've become aware of, what are the new things that we have been exposed to that we weren't really aware of before. we analyze those things and really come to terms with what that means for ourselves and for the space that we embody and for the space that we exist in. And we figure out what our mode of action is and how to move forward and continue to embody these things that we've now come to learn. And at the end of the session, at the end of the modules, this is where we would normally prepare for the song submission. But as we've just wrapped up, this is the part where we clean it up. We put the bow on it. We add effects and lyrics and custom beats if your students are just wanting to go above and beyond and just add their own flavors and seasonings to it. The add of the effects and the custom beats. This is where they debug their code and go through and make sure that their song is running without any errors. And also make sure that the set requirements for the Your Voice is Power program have been met. And then at the end, there would be a submission site, but as round 2 has just wrapped up, we can talk about how judging is going to be done for the submissions that have come in. And for this, I believe we're handing that over to Danyelle.
Thanks, Shalise. So as it has been mentioned, Your Voice is Power is both a curriculum and competition. And after your students have created their songs and they have submitted it for a review, there are 4 different rounds of judging that your students' submission would go through. They will be judged on their code, their music, and their message. And we have, in our last round, we had over 500 judges that reviewed the submissions of our competitors. And from that round, they were chosen to go to either a panel or they were awarded based off what their submissions were. So the criteria for judging, there are 2 different criteria, one for music and structure, and the other is for their code. There are 5 different levels that they can be judged. The first is they do present what is asked of them from the curriculum. However, to exceed the expectations, they tell a story through their song. They start with an introduction and they have a conclusion, and they provide sufficient evidence that they have included their voice into their code, into their song. One thing that we do like for our students to remember or to include in their messaging is that they reflect how they feel in the climate that we're currently living in our social environment. And students can exhibit their voice or their message in any way that they want. We've had students submit videos that they have created through animation. We have had students include photographs that they've taken to summarize what their song means to them and how they have arrived to their message and their code in their song. Next, we are going to show you some reflections that some of our students have provided in their song submissions. This particular student emphasized in his song, or it's the student group, in their song, why should our DNA decide our life? And they really emphasize that it shouldn't matter. As long as you have a good heart, that you are being equitable and fair, that your DNA and what you look like should not determine the course of your life. We are going to play a sample from one of our student competitor submissions.
entrepreneur. You got a black man, 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 black man. Let go, 'cause you never know what's in store. Mr. Entrepreneur, you gotta.
So as you can tell from this particular song, the song really reflected the student and what they felt. Our next submission comes from a student, our second competitor, who is a Filipino student. And this particular student contrasts the African American experience with social injustice, as well as Asian Americans or Asians that was recently experiencing hate through social media and through hate crimes that were occurring throughout the United States. And his song reflected his interpretation of how it feels to be both an American, African American, and a Filipino or Asian in America.
And I'll just play a small bit because this one's a little longer.
Shows with no cues that look like you do. Black Twitter was that with jackets paid through you. For everyone, Gucci support two poodles. Sipping quick cola, the sugar and the owner. So we all vertically integrated from the floor. Do say power, so X till I go up. Like gang signs set up. Bang hands for both of you. Serial entrepreneur, we on our own. Stop sitting around waiting for folks.
So as you listen to this particular student's entry, you can feel the heaviness that he intended for his listener to hear, and that reflects his reflection of how he experiencing life currently as an Asian person. And our last competitor is our contrast how she has implemented her own actions to combat social injustice.
And this one, listen carefully, she actually sings her own lyrics. They might be hard to hear. I'm going to try to turn up the volume.
And it's the color of your face. There will be sunny days. Black went away. Let go. If you wanna fly, take the lead. You gotta risk it all. There'll be lots of things you'll never see. Lies told to you, do you?
So this particular student wrote her own lyrics, and she's expressing that she is an artist, she is Black excellent, and I believe that most judges that commented on hers commented on how they were touched by her submission, and most of them shared that they were a little shared some tears behind her reflection as well. So how can your student join the competition? Currently, the curriculum is free and it's available through our website. You can register for that. And you can also hear the full excerpts of all of the songs from our first round top 10 finalists on the website as well. Our next competition, which is round 3, I believe we're going to refer to it, will launch this September. So you do have an opportunity to join and be a part of the conversation as well.
I think we have about 10 minutes left. We can have some fun on ear sketch. Does that work for everybody? If you guys, so we can take you through just an intro coding experience on ear sketch. We'll put the link here, and then Shalise can lead you through, and I will pull up ear sketch on the shared screen. But yeah, you can have the opportunity to remix your own Pharrell stems and maybe even, you know, create your winning entry for the fall, or you can share with the students. We did talk about having a teacher competition because I think teachers have just as much fun on ear sketch as our students. So put the ear sketch link there, and I will switch out my screen.
Awesome.
Okay. And I'll get up. So you can get started on your sketch today. Our competition window is closed, but you can teach the curriculum anytime. And then as soon as our submission window opens again in the fall, you could have your students submit. But you can definitely, ear sketch is open, free to anyone at all times. So ear sketch in the curriculum is still available. It's just whether students can submit online. Okay, I think I got my ear sketch screen up. We are set to go.
Awesome, awesome. Well, if you're following along with us, you'll see these yellow start coding buttons. You click on either one of those to take you to the ear sketch coding environment. Get you some nice swirly whirlies to load. And it'll take just a second while it loads the librarian interface. And once you once you get it to the interface, this is the screen that you should see. In the upper right-hand corner is where you can create your account if you have not already, or log in if you have. You only need a username and a password. Email addresses are optional. But after you log in, after you sign in, I guess, could you clear out so we can start a new script? Boom. Oh, yeah.
So you can register a new account, and then, yeah, let me log back in.
Logging on in. And when you are ready for a new script, you click on the text in the middle, click here to create a new script. As Sabrina just did, you name your script, you name it whatever you like, and then you choose your language. EarSketch currently supports Python and EarSketch, but for the sake of our demo, we're going to be working in Python. Right, and this is an empty EarSketch template. You start with a few comment lines to get your name and description and initial ideas out on those first few comment lines.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
I'm just sorry.
One. Awesome. You start out with the first few comment lines there to get out your initial thoughts. You have an import command from EarSketch, import everything, all of the library capabilities. You have an initializing function, the set tempo function, which sets the speed of your song, and that's in BPM, in beats per minute. so students can change the tempo of their song. Right now, this one is set at 120 beats per minute, but you can change that between, I believe, 40 and 220. Underneath your set tempo function is like your workspace area. That's why you have those extra lines in there to give you some space to work. And the very, very last thing in any earsketch script should be the finish function. That should be the last thing that comes after all of your work, all of your composition. The very, very end of an earsketch composition is that finish function. All right, so in between the set tempo and the finish function is where all of your composition and algorithm goes. The bread and butter is what I like to call it. The bread and butter of earsketch is the fit media function. Fit media is how we tell earsketch to take a piece of media, is what we call our sound clips. Take that sound clip and fit it onto a track within a specific range of measures, between a start measure and a end measure. So you find your sound clips. I'll show you guys where to find sound clips. On the left-hand side, you have a content manager tab that you can click open and close at will. And then there are 3 tabs. You have your sound tab, your script tab, and your API tab. Your sound clips can be found under that sound tab. So you can click that sound tab, and that's where all of the sound clips live in earsketch. You can filter those sound clips by the artist that the sound clip is by. You can clips by genre. If you like hip hop, if you like pop, if you like gospel, if you like urbano Latino music, there's an option here for just about everybody. And you can also filter those sounds by instruments. And those sound clips are built in. Let's just pick some drums. Sabrina filtering by drums there. And over in that folder, you see lots of folders. If you click on that sideways arrow, you'll drop down a list of sound clips that live in that folder. And you can demo a sound clip by pushing the play button right next to it and see what it sounds like. Cool beans, right? And once you find a sound clip that you like, you make sure your cursor is placed within that function. And I encourage students to do it this way to reduce any errors. You just click that blue copy button, and that blue copy button will paste that sound clip constant name wherever your cursor is. So Sabrina's cursor is on line 14 right now, 12. If she were to click that copy button, it pastes that constant name wherever the cursor is. All right. So first argument is the sound clip that you want to fit into your audio workstation. The second argument is the track where you want that sound clip to live. Tracks in audio engineering are I think of them vertically, but they're the space where a sound clip lives, and each sound clip should have its own track to keep it from overlapping on other sound clips. We have our sound clip as our first argument, our track number as our second argument. The third and fourth arguments in a fit media function are the starting measure and the ending measure. This tells earsketch what measure to start our sound clip at and the beginning of what measure to end our sound clip at. This is where music teachers can hop in on these sessions on classes and begin to talk about a little bit of music theory and math, because at the end of the day, music is a time-based practice. So we get to kind of explore how to talk about and discuss and compose time as we get to talk about those things in a matter of measures. So after we have our sound clip, our track number, our starting measure and our ending measure, Our fit media function is complete. At this point, we want to run our script by clicking the green run button up in the upper right-hand corner. And at the bottom, you get a message in your console that says your script has ran successfully. And then you should see the results of your script in the audio workstation section. Cool beans. And that is the gist of how to get something into, how to get a sound clip into the ear sketch area. Again, that fit media function is the bread and butter. And the fit media, it takes those 4 arguments. It needs to know what sound clip you want to use, what track number you want that sound clip to live on, what measure you want to start that sound clip at, and what measure you want to end that sound clip at. And using that series of information, you can begin to build those fit media functions with different instruments and begin to build your song sections that way. I see Sabrina, she has a set of drums. We're gonna pick a different instrument and layer it on top of the one that we already have. We chose a sound, chose a Sierra set bass line. We already have a sound on track 1, so she's putting this one on track 2 so that it lives in its own space. And then just like the first sound, we're starting at measure 1 and ending at measure 5. And you can solo and mute those, and you can hear how they sound individually. Awesome. And that is the gist. I believe it's about time for us to start returning, yes?
Yes, thank you so much. But yeah, awesome. You guys can keep coding. In fact, like we encourage you to have some fun with your sketch. I'll just put up our final slide with all of our contact information and all of our ear sketch website. So feel free to continue to reach out to us. Sign up on our teacher site, which I will share in a minute. And that way you can get updates on the competition for the fall and just general updates on ear sketch. But thank you so much for engaging with us. Thank you so much to our partners in code, Danyelle and Chalece and Love, who's been in the chat and helped with a lot of our design for our ear sketch teacher site and PowerPoint. So feel free to reach out to us. Danyelle and I will answer the ES Comp one, so that's a great one just to reach out to ear sketch in general. And then yeah, check out our teacher site, join our Facebook group, follow us on Twitter. We'd love for you to incorporate ear sketch and or your voice's power. And if you want to learn more about different curriculum options in ear sketch, I believe we have a 125 session. And I think we can stay for like a minute or two for questions. I know the stage looks live right now, so I guess probably I think head back there. But if you do have a couple of questions, feel free to put them in the chat and we'll make sure we'll get them answered. But thank you so much.
Hey, thank you everyone for those that are still here. But if you would like to join with video to ask your questions as well, you may click the share audio and video button in the upper right corner of the video screen. Okay, it looks like you have some veterans in the chat room because some of the questions have already been answered. All of the questions actually have already been answered. And I know some of the teachers with whom I work actually use Ear Sketch, and I've used it myself when I was in the classroom. So, this is awesome. I remember Sabrina actually has been to my classroom before.
Yes.
It was great seeing you again.
Yes, great seeing you too. And thank you for all your work with Constellations and helping us get set up here today. We really appreciate it. So,
Oh, no problem, no problem.
Yeah, that was when Ear Sketch was still kind of like small. We just had one project.
It was a little baby.
Now we've like blown up. It's been awesome. Like, I love it, but it definitely.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is awesome. And I've seen that word several times in the chat. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good stuff. Grand. Yeah, yes. Okay, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna go ahead head to the next session. Do you all need anything from me at this point?
I think we're good. Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
I guess do we just kind of X off this? Is that how we end ourselves?
Oh, yes. You can click leave to leave the video screen, or you can just click on sessions at the or stage. I'm trying to see what part is actually next. But to leave the session itself, the total session itself.
Okay.
So you can go to another session or what have you. Oh yeah, y'all did an awesome job. Awesome job. Did that work?
Thank you. Sabrina and Shalise, see you later.
See you later.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.